Perfect.
Can you hear me now? Fantastic. Good evening, late afternoon. What a gorgeous weather today, huh?
Yeah.
Be sincere. Who thought for a moment, why should I go in class at 6:30 while I have 30 degrees Celsius? What is it, 85 Fahrenheit, right? Yeah, me too, guys. I was running here. Seriously, do we need to talk about metaverse while we have here such a gorgeous weather, right? So thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. Hope you guys had a great break. I've been traveling. Just came back on Sunday night, so still kind of jet lag, business trips regarding metaverse. All went well. Happy to chat offline if you guys are more intrigued about what I'm working on. But I have a couple of projects in NFT and metaverse going on. So not about me, about you. Today we have our masterclass again, right? So we would like to have actually a sprint towards your pitch day, the end of the month, right? So we have 3-4 weeks left, right? And so practice is what makes the master, what makes you more confident, right? So today we are going to have a similar format what we had the first time when we had the master class, but with one difference, that we are not going to be able to expand just on one startup, one project. So you'll be having 3 to 4 minutes pitch, right? And then roughly 4 to 5 minutes, some feedback, direct feedback, self-reflection and self-assessment from you and from the class, and then I'll be breaking it down, okay? So I hope you guys have submitted the most recent decks that we shared on Slack. Okay, there is a G Drive, right? And without further ado, who is the first one who would like to kick off things and open up the class today with presentations? Okay, cool. Let me ask the second question. Who has already submitted the deck? Who has already submitted the deck? You go on Slack, the most recent deck.
We're doing ours right now.
Okay. There we go. A couple more minutes. And then, assuming you guys are submitting the deck or in the process of submitting the deck, let's go back to question 1. Who would like to go first? Yeah.
I'll just adjust something here.
We're in the process of editing it though.
Okay, perfect. Let me. Sorry, I'm also just. Okay. Oh yeah. So yours is. Oh, the slides, right?
Yeah, just the
And
slides.
Slack. Or Tomato, where's your Slack on this? Where's your Slack on your computer? Yeah. Sorry, we just need to pull that up.
The Slack message?
Yep.
Yeah, just like put the slide deck.
Oh, Slack. This Slack is not working here. So I see here Slack. Go Slack. Announcements.
Even practice though. It's all good.
This one? Should I open this one, huh?
Oh, someone's slide deck.
Did you guys point directly to the slide deck?
Is there the first one?
Yeah, that's
Okay, so that's the
Yeah.
that is the one. Okay, feel free to. When you are ready, uniform.
Oh, you're back.
This is cool.
That's not. Yeah.
What are you looking at? Also have the demo link, but demo is not working, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So I can delete the
No,
demo.
it's working. You can work on that.
Do you want me to delete it?
No, we can work on that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's like it's working. It's working when I try it this afternoon.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
What was the wallet address? Just send the wallet address to you. Send to Tomaso. I'm on his laptop.
Okay, I was just wondering if
Recorded. I mean, it's recorded, right? I mean,
yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, send it to Tomaso.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Good to go. All right. I think you should start now.
okay.
Do you want to go over? Because they're recording.
Awesome. Y'all ready when you are?
Can you give me more space?
Yeah, good.
Okay, 3.
All right, everyone. Yeah, just several days ago, we know there's a game called Axie Infinity was hacked by
Guys, let's be quiet, please.
someone, and was stolen like a $600 million. But we know that's how popular the game is, right? And now our team is working on a tool to help the players to track their investment performance and earnings with just one click. And this is what we call the Insider. Right now, there are already 900, almost 900K daily active players. That means like 17 billion market cap, and all of them rely on play to earn model. And after we investigate the whole ecosystem, we interview the customers, we understand what they want, and actually we got the 2 questions from them. One is about how much can I earn and how fast can I get investment back. Those questions are really populated in those customers. So how do they do with to tackle those the problems right now? For individuals, they manually create Excel sheets for their individual wallet, and they are not able to see them easily at the same time. That is very, very time consuming and takes a long time for them to track their investment. So they have no idea how much earning and how long they can get their investment back. What we are doing right now is to help the investors, the players, to track their earnings with multiple wallets. So our tool is to easily track the performance from multiple wallets with on-chain data. And that is very accurate, reliable, and user-friendly for them to use. What it looks like, here we have. Before everything, we have the subscription system. And when you type in the wallet address, you can get all the things. 2 things emphasized here. One is the ROI, the return on investment. So how much they can get their money back and how long they can get the money back, from the investment. We're still working on the diagram, to show how the trend is. And we have a vision to create the prediction, the earning prediction for this game as well. Right now, in terms of the competitive landscape, so we have identified 2 competitors. One is Dune Analytics, another one is the Dap Radar. They are not specifically, for multiple wallets to calculate the investment at total time at one time. but at the same time, they are providing the very general data. For example, like the monthly active users, or if especially for each game, they have the volumes. That is not for an individual to track their investment.
Last 25.
So our vision is to create an information search engine for GameFi. That is starting from the ROI calculator. We will make, our vision is to create the community with the game strategies, and that become the multi-game gateway in the future. Our go-to-market strategy over here, and we have identified the audiences and the ways and offer. One thing I want to highlight here is we have reached out several community managers.
Guys, I know that's just for all of us, right? So in a couple of weeks, you guys are on time, right? So
Yeah.
4 minutes, and then we can continue, okay? So
Yep.
maybe you want to wrap up just real quick here.
Yeah, correct. So they know us already. So next one. So I want to highlight here is we have reached out the Axie Infinity moderator, and they have approved us to provide the link in their Discord, I think, which is a good thing for us. Another thing is to earn for the revenue model, we provide subscription for the premium function. For example, the prediction for their earnings, I mean, for each game. So, yep. Quick wrap up.
Cool. So how do you think it went?
Well, so this is the first time we pitched like since last time. So this is not a very so we may need a lot of practice for that.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you think?
Same here. Like we need to be maybe faster in the wording and
Okay.
don't go into repetition and use the time more efficiently.
Okay. What else?
We need to highlight something that we want to highlight over here, like something like use a summary to emphasize, for example, like multi-wallet, which is our value. We want our audiences to understand that is value we can provide.
What do you guys think? What's the rest of
Yeah, just picking up this instead of looking at the screen. But I think if you haven't practiced before the last time, it's good.
Okay. So looking at the screen, anything else? Yeah.
Also, I know it's hard because I'm the worst on this, but it's to be more, to have more energy, I guess. But that's the main thing about like the last time we all pitched, everyone was like
More energy means?
like more, more
Enthusiasm.
more voice,
Yeah.
yeah, dynamic.
Okay. So
Thank you for
both
that.
postures, right, or stage behavior, right? Okay. So what else? Anything else? Are we missing something? Is there anything that you guys are missing or lacking?
Maybe bringing the product to life a bit more,
Like what?
like just seeing like what the product's gonna look like, how it's gonna function, just better understanding it.
Like what they showed the demo, right? You saw the demo, like. did you see
I
the
think he
demo?
missed it.
I must have missed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? You guys miss anything? You guys have any doubts while you listen to the main pillars that were? Did it create any doubts? Any question marks? Yep.
Which chains are you guys going after first? I don't know if I guess you didn't get to the go-to-market strategy yet,
Yeah.
but you have a plan laid out for that?
Yeah. First of all, we started with X Infinity, so it's like run-in chain. But our strategy here is look at who has the most of the daily active users and go for like first 5 games in the daily active users and first implement them.
Okay, just because we have a minute left, let me give you a feedback on what doubts I have, okay? Always when I see that the competitive landscape is not directly your competitor, right? I ask myself why, right? And if you are not capable of explaining the why, the competitors, like you spoke about the Raider, right?
Yep.
And Dude, right? But the question is, why you? Like, why is nobody else, right, in a situation of having done it already, right? So, and this could be a series of things. One could be you guys are genius, right? I was like, cool. But what makes you genius? Like, what's your IP? Like, what is it that you make so unique, right? So this is called addressing the elephant in the room, right? Which means there are competitors out there. And the more you are nuanced to how you are different and unique to the competitors, right? The better you make the audience feel. Because we have this gut feeling of saying, wait a second, why are they comparing themselves with that Raider? While I know that Raider is doing something else, right? You have to address the animal on the room. If you don't address the elephant in the room, if you don't address the big boys that is direct competition to you, I ask myself, wait a second, either they're talking about a different target audience, so you were not capable of choosing the right competitors, then you have a minus because of that, or I say there is no competitors, then I doubt about the market. Okay, so that's point number one. And then point number two, I kept on repeating it over and over and over again. What is it, guys? Entrepreneurs pitching. What makes an entrepreneur really stand out? Unique. What? Did we see traction? Guys, you have 3-4 weeks left. You just have a deck and an idea right now. You need traction. Either soft traction, you need to show that you're capable of convincing the audience that this thing is needed, not because you believe in it, but because you have some form of traction. Okay? How are you going to do that? Question mark. No need to answer now, but that's your biggest effort right now. You have a nice demo. I think you have a clear value proposition. Here and there some adjustments, right? But zero traction, guys. Okay? I don't believe it. I could say, well, this thing is not needed. Oh, but I believe no, this thing is not needed. You don't have traction. Show me who said, who signed up, what you did, right? So now, rather than having just a go-to-market strategy on how you bring the product to market, show me basically who signalized they want it, right?
The result of the go-to-market strategy.
Exactly.
Something like
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay? Great, guys. Thank you so much. Next one. Who wants to go, please? Yep.
It's a link because it's on Canvas.
C'est là? Faut juste cliquer dessus. C'est où? Je sais pas. Quelque part par là.
And meanwhile, while they're setting it up, traction is valid for everybody here. Okay, so this is super, super relevant. The next 4 weeks, guys,
Yep.
divide and conquer.
Yep.
Really have
Yep.
massive and
Perfect.
aggressive go-to-market strategy, not just a plan, but an execution. Okay, the more you can show evidence, the more you will be wowing people in the audience. Okay, so if one is coming up and say, I have revenues or I have fundraising, okay, this is when people start saying, holy cow, this is real. Okay, Kachi, take it from here.
It's good?
Right. You got it?
Okay, awesome.
Hi everyone, so we're Clutchy and we are a new platform that brings together esports teams and fans through a unique experience. But before talking about our solution, I just want to highlight what esports is really like nowadays. If 15 years ago it wasn't really a thing, it is now like breathtaking tournaments that bring together millions of people online or in stadiums. But because it is quite a new market, it is facing a lot of different challenges. The first one is that it is really hard for esports fans to stand out from a continuously growing community. Think about Twitch chats and like YouTube videos where there are like thousands of commentaries in it. Although it's only few esports teams are really making money from this market, and they need some revenue streams that include their community without distorting their content and including their community too. And finally, contrary to at the opposite of like other sports, it's way harder to get memorabilia from esports. So we have a solution for that. Our solution is a platform where esports fans can find all the most memorable moments of the latest tournaments and owning them as NFTs by opening packs or buying directly on our marketplace. So, and by owning those NFTs, they can have like access to exclusive content, exclusive events, and some perks. And lastly, part of the revenues generated by the pack sales are redistributed to our partner esports teams. So it's a new way for them to make money. So this is what it looks like for now. So we are starting. We started like designing it, and we are more like focused on the technical part right now. So it's basic. It's pretty basic. It's like a bit NBA Top Shot, if you know this platform. And so what we really want to do with this one is to really help esports players making a decent income. It's a lot of what we like. We interviewed a lot of esports players, and this was one of the biggest problem for them to continue with their passion. And also, we want fans to truly live their passion just beyond watching streams.
Right. So in terms of market size, big numbers, it's a big market. More than a couple billions market in general. What we want to target and the market we can obtain, it's $100 million in general, but with a really conservative approach. On the next slide, yeah. For the competitors, we have both direct competitors and indirect competitors. It's really like a small market right now. So the direct competitors are really like small teams. They're not well known. But the indirect competitors like Twitch, for example, they're launching their. You have lots of synergy between gaming and NFT streamings, so that's why like big players like Twitch are also into consideration for like our competitors. The advantage, as Armand was saying, what we want to focus on is really the utilities part, but mostly the esports team oriented. We really want to be centered around them and also have money redistribution for them. And for advantage, really quickly also, we want to leverage the network in the Silicon Valley, Berkeley. We also have lots of advisor support for our company, and we already have designers, creators that can help us to work on the NFT part that are already in the team. The business model is really simple, so I'm going to be quick on that. It's the same as NBA Top Shots, marketplace, and NFT sales. Go-to-market strategy. Again, I'm not going to talk about that, more about the partnership and attraction. We're like, again, still in talks because of spring break. It was like, we delayed everything. But we already made partnership with gaming communities back in France. And we think we have around like 500 like gamers like that are willing to go more in our like solution to try it, and yeah, still in talks for that. And the teams, like you know it.
Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. Got you.
I mean, like we need to work on timing, obviously,
Okay.
but I think we're gonna there are some parts we're gonna reduce. And as Florent was saying, you were talking about showing traction. So we created everything like the Discord channel and everything. We have some people coming, but it's still a small number, so we don't want to display it right now. We are waiting for the last presentation for the final show. And we also so he was talking about two partnership. We're still like waiting for like no official written answer for them to be able to put them in the deck. But yeah, it's like a community of like 500 people, so it's still like a beginning, a start. And we're also planning to we were like actually working on putting a landing page to make people sign up and go on our Discord channel. But yeah, this is something that will be included in our deck like for the final show.
Okay, so in the market, guys, any doubts? What are pitfalls here? So this company is saying they have a go-to-market and a business model, right? About what? About what? Like in simple terms, about what? What are they doing?
What are they doing?
Yeah, in simple words. Like what are they doing?
They're selling moments from
Yeah.
sports
Mhm.
to
to general public in order to help these sportsmen make money.
Okay,
Esports.
cool. So you said that this is comparable to?
NBA Top Shot.
Okay. What is the relationship between Dapper and NBA Top Shots? Who owns what rights?
They are partners. So there's a problem with IP here.
Okay.
League of Legends.
Okay.
So
what else? Anything else? Yep.
can I do that? So it was on that. I was supposed to mention it because we were talking about that last times. But like for the moment, it's like seems really good because we talk to esport players and they can use all the records from like tournaments for their own purpose, like on their own YouTube channel, and they can like make money with it. So for the IP part, it's not like traditional sports where like big TV channel on the right, and it's really like a closed market. Right now, it's quite open because like the let's say the tournaments and like our big organizer know that it would be like a problem for them in terms of like visibility if they would like reduce the usage of the footage.
Usage for promotion or usage of commercialization?
I mean, if you put it on YouTube and you're making money with it, it's commercialization.
Okay, and what kind of an evidence do you have for that?
Like people that are making money on YouTube thanks to those footage.
Okay.
I think the two slides missing, for obviously the partnership slide.
And the IP one.
And IP legal one.
So if I would have to invest in this company, right? You know that the process by investing, you do due diligence, right? Yeah. And due diligence means the accurate process of a fund or an angel investor to get evidences, right? Yeah. What you are saying, first of all, great that you went beyond and now you're addressing it. It's missing in the slide, right? Sure. If I would have to do a due diligence, I need to see something.
Yeah.
Because I'm familiar with this space, right?
Okay.
And then the question is, I mean, I hear you, right? But I kind of don't believe you.
Yeah, right? You need something like to say like
yeah, because the market right
so
now
how could we prove the IP part?
You should go on terms and conditions of the owner of the actual game and show based on 2-3 screenshots that the terms and conditions are saying that you can repurpose the content based on for commercial use, right?
Okay, so because just screenshots. Okay.
And I would address that proactively. Don't assume so. There is majority of the target audience don't even know that this market has this particular need, right?
Yeah.
But those who want actually to invest in you or those who are relevant to you, they will point exactly that out, right? So, but great job, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah. You know what? Should we go for a beer outside?
Yeah, I'd love to.
And then 50 minutes. Come on, guys. Who's next?
We can go after.
In the slide deck, it put that parade just now.
Who's next? By the way, guys, I remember that I had shared this advice. Again, this is an entrepreneur class, okay? So let me share some context here. When I always have been, taking an advantage or a moment transform it into an advantage. When people say who wants to go next or first, right? It's always good because you show a sign that you actually want to do something, right? And here it's a class, it's a different environment, right? And we do it for different purposes. But when you are out there, real life, right? And you're pitching your startup, right? That's a good sign because you say, oh, cool, this guy, this team is spontaneous, this team is outgoing, right? So I would definitely suggest to be prepared, right? And it's not about being right or wrong, but just being about you and defending what what you're working on. That's what we want to see here. Okay, cool. Apollo Music.
Great. Good evening, everyone. We're Apollo Music. Today we'll talk about a project around NFT ticketing, as well as more about the market and the progress we've been having so far. So just setting the problem statement a little bit, around 65 to 80% of music revenues for musicians comes from actual live events. And from that, a lot of the value from their work is captured in actually ticket appreciation. So that's something that ticket ticketing services will capture as resale value, but the musician will not, right? These are scalpers. So that was actually one thing we wanted to address. Now, looking at the market segment around events, it's huge. Whether it's music events, live events, conferences, it's around $320 billion worldwide. But when you zoom in to around the US and maybe a smaller segment that we could capture around 3 billion up to 32 billion. So the opportunity is there. The solution we're presenting is offering musicians and event producers in a platform to mint, sell, resell, and manage NFT ticket sales. This will address two main issues. The first one is lowering the ticket fees, transaction fees, as well as offering musicians who are actually creating this value an opportunity to capture it and not have the scalpers capture it, which is through that resell aspect, guaranteed through smart contracts. So we talked about what the musicians get. Now on the other side around the consumers or the customers or the fans, what do they get? Definitely access to the event, number one. Two, since it's an NFT, they can get kind of exclusive perks used through kind of the typical community aspect of NFTs, as well as a memorabilia. So this is actually one element that we talked to a lot of fans where maybe they went to a concert that was super memorable and they wanted to say, keep the wristband. And having that wristband shows that they were that fan. Looking at our customer audience, I think one thing that's super interesting is that NFT adoption as well as wallet adoption are relatively low. So when we're thinking about the solution, how do we make it adapted to the mass audience? So that's one thing we thought about, which is, hey, we need a solution that is accessible, potentially custodial and wallet nature, as well as accepting fiat payments. Competitors, a lot of competitors, definitely the biggest one would be Ticketmaster in the traditional sense. Now, that might be initially daunting, but I think coming from the angle we're at as a small startup, we can actually use that strategically because Ticketmaster is not going to adopt a system that cuts into their traditional model. They benefit from resells, and by giving that to musicians, they would actually eat into their margins quite heavily. There are other competitors in the crypto space, such as Yellowheart, and we can talk about ways we can differentiate with them in the future. So looking at business models, there's actually three potential revenue streams we're looking at. Initially, ticket sales, ticket fees, resale fees, as well as this idea around pre-sale liquidity that you could use around flash loans, which you actually learned about in the last class. Initially, as a startup, you want to get as many revenue streams as possible. We're not going to say no to any of them. But as we scale, we want to move to a model where we're lowering our fees, almost to the point of having a free service, because I think that is what's going to differentiate us compared to the other startups and offering that and providing as much value to the musicians as possible. That is something that Ticketmaster definitely is not looking at because it completely destroys their high marginal cost model compared to ours. In our go-to-market, we're going to focus on VIP ticketing and then move to general admissions. But lastly, talking about our progress so far, we're looking to scale and launch live events around Q2, Q3. Current progress so far, we've had some chats with some early VCs around, say, like Franklin and really Pear, and have talked with some musicians around partnerships in LA. Definitely nothing solid and concrete yet, but we're looking to get a MOI or letter of intent from that process. Not sure if we have time, but we do have a tech demo or just kind of the visually layout of what it would look like. Currently, we're in the process of developing the architecture and building the backend to support this process. Happy to answer any questions.
How do you feel?
Good. 4 minutes is not a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of covered groups.
So what went well?
I think one thing we got feedback in our last presentation with VC was focusing more on the revenue streams and the competitors. I think one thing you mentioned in an earlier presentation was if you have a competitor, not to shy away from it, but talk about exactly how you're going to disrupt that market. So I think that's one thing that we really adapted for this presentation.
I agree. I definitely understood how you guys are different. What do you think is lacking?
Traction. I think that's the thing that matters the most.
9 out of the startups fail because of a lack of traction.
Yeah, you can have a great idea, but if you don't have traction, it doesn't matter.
You can have a great idea and then you're in competition with a lot of great ideas.
Yeah.
Right? And okay, so traction is one. Anything else?
I think traction definitely be one. I think articulating kind of how we would get to that future state we talked about, because definitely there's a lot of crypto startups that are looking at this field. And so one area that we're thinking of differentiating itself is definitely the no fee side, but I think we would need to build out that story more, make that more convincing.
Louis, yeah, go ahead.
Just a question on that. Are you guys doing minority ticket sales or ticket resales or both?
Both. We'd be offering the entire platform.
Okay, and you're going for 0% ticket fees, I guess?
Yeah, that would be the future state.
Okay. One thing when we were looking into doing this that we ran into is that the current revenue model, at least with Ticketmaster and the venues, is that they hike up those fees and then split them among themselves. So the venues also benefit from using Ticketmaster and keeping those fees high. So do you think cutting that revenue stream for the venues will make it harder for you guys to get serious traction?
I mean, that's a very good point. I think it's a question of market power in the industry. I think initially that's something we'll have to probably contend with. And I mean, that's why we're saying initially we won't take out ticket fees, just because we need that initial revenue to scale. But I think as you're getting more market power and you're getting bigger artists, with that negotiation power, potentially you could limit that cut from the venues or figure out a different business model to compensate the venues, maybe in like a flat fee versus a percentage cut. Thank you.
Anything else?
I want to say that in the beginning, your pitch deck is a little busy.
Yeah.
Usually start out pitch decks on the simple side, and like do like most of the information like through your words. Because if people try to like read your pitch deck, they might get distracted, not listen to what you have to say.
It's a very good point.
So, minute left. My feedback. I like the way that you positioned yourself when you talk about competition. But I'm asking, when I see innovation, and I see that you are comparing yourself with the gorilla, with the biggest, and the biggest player is traditional player. Then I say, wait a second, is there anybody else that is doing ticketing and NFT? Why did you compare to yourself with the biggest player that is not NFT oriented? Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like I would have loved to see, I understood your differentiator compared to the biggest one, but because the biggest one is not an NFT. But what if you compare yourself with other ticketing, like, you guys familiar with other tickets NFT players? You said that you were working on it, right?
Yeah, we can answer that. Yeah, we have Yellow Heart, which is basically doing event ticketing as well, and they have a couple artists on their platform already. They are founded by Live Nation, so their backers are very traditional, and we did propose a business model that can support us to go to zero, like basically cut to the bottom, because we think one of the biggest advantage with NFT ticketing is that you will collect less and less fees, and if it's going to be a competition, then we have ways to go to zero.
Okay, so you have thought through the competitive landscape, and the other thing is you mentioned. I mean, overall, obviously, go-to-market leads to traction, right? And you said you spoke with a couple of musicians, right? But then you're a two-sided marketplace. On one hand, you have the musician, right? And then you spoke about the fan advantages, right? So what are you doing there?
On the fan side, we have done a lot of customer research, which is not traction. But I think from what we talked about with fans as well as artists, NFTs itself is a really hype industry right now, and as a collectible. So we're looking to, as our go-to-market strategy, start with premium tickets, an area potentially where people are willing to pay a little bit higher and willing to go through the transaction costs of, say, having a wallet. So that's an area we would start off with.
And how are you attracting ultimately the fans? Because they start the monetization, not the musicians, right? Monetization is started and ultimately through the fans. How are you attracting them?
It would be in large partnership with the musician itself. So I think initially we're going to...
What are you expecting by saying in partnership with the musician? You're expecting by saying that the musician is going to promote your platform?
Not so much the platform, but the ticket to their event.
Okay.
As in, hey, if you want to buy this premium VIP ticket with this artist, the only way you can do that is through.
And do you have the evidence for that?
Sorry, the evidence.
The evidence that a musician would be willing to do that, because if you're assuming that the musician, because you're offering a new tool, would prioritize your tool, and usually any brand is very neutral to their partners, right? They don't emphasize one partner above the other partner. Like you guys at Tech Play have a Tech Play. There are going to be other startups that will basically pitching the same, right? Which you have here, right?
Yeah.
They will not say, oh, but I want to do it just with Apollo Music, right? So your assumption could break your business model, right? So you might want to actually reverse engineer your thought and say, okay, the value chain starts with the end user in mind that has an interest. And then the question is, how can you create a community of end users, okay, that are showing you sign that will like actually to get access to that through your tool, because then you activate the fan and the musician, and not the other way around. So your small assumption of activating the musician as your distributor might break your entire, and often it's the case, because then you talk with musicians and say, hey, listen, I like what you do, but I have 4 others also offering me that. I cannot mention you 25,000 times on my Instagram. I'm not doing that. That's not part. And the reason why I'm mentioning that, because I deal with celebrities, musicians, and brands, right? And I know that they say, hey guys, that's not what I do. I play music. When I have to do something on Instagram, on TikTok or so, I just share my music. That's my business. I'm not in the business of promoting you. So it basically shifts the challenge to you. So think of your value chain throughout the entire needs. Who has really the ultimate need? It's the end user. And the question is, how do you get to the end user? How do you get traction on the end user side, right? So focus on maybe on a music genre, right? And then start creating community around the genre, right? So create community for that specific genre. And then you activate musicians, because say, hey, we come with a huge community that has these benefits plus, right? And then you bring more value to the musicians, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one. What's the next?
We go next.
Yep.
Okay. Hello. So we are Bridge, and the problem we are solving here today is the first problem. We are solving two problems, and one is and I'm sure everyone who's in the last semester is going through this. Getting jobs is hard. And I myself have been going through this process, and I can testify. But and the second problem is it's hard finding good talent for the job position that you have. You just inbound marketing doesn't work, or it doesn't always work. Just posting a job on LinkedIn, that hardly ever works for especially small organizations who don't have a big brand name. So these are the problems that we're trying to basically solve. And now we're going to the solution.
All right. The solution is there's a few components of it. It's on-chain peer-to-peer credentialing. And we're starting with software engineers. The reason for on-chain is there's a lot of discrimination in the hiring process. A lot of people that don't have big name brands or institutions are really tough to get in the door. On-chain allows the skills really to surface up versus and what someone has completed. And we see the recruiting process moving more and more to that direction. There's a few ways to credential, but we're excited about peer-to-peer. We've interviewed a lot of hiring managers, and ultimately their decisions come down to references from other people, from suggestions to hire this person. So we think credentialing will be moving away from these big name institutions. It's already happening where people care about what other people have to say about someone else, and providing that validation to people that have skills but don't come from these big tracks is what we're trying to solve. The market size, I'll go through this pretty quickly, but is very large. The part that I'll draw attention to that we're excited about is the vast majority of software engineers that are being hired aren't coming from these big name institutions. And we see that trend continuing. More and more people are gaining these skills in less traditional ways, and how these people validate and show that they have these skills, we see as a increasingly big problem. So our product, basically we create a funnel. So we utilize automated tests as well as like projects. So a bunch of engineers will apply and they'll have to go through automated tests. They'll have to go through this vetting process that we've been working with hiring managers to create. But different than a lot of the solutions now, where it's like, if you pass this online test, you get this badge, or if you pass this online module, we're really ending with like a real human being. So if you make it through all these steps, if you collect enough badges, ultimately you'll be paired with someone who does have these big name credentials, like an engineer from Facebook or Google, that then will do a 1 hour or 2 hour live interview. And the final credential will be that person really putting their name on the line that this person has that skill set. Yeah, so there's the candidates. We're focusing on people that don't come from traditional tracks. There's the experts that are doing the vetting, and then we're working with the hiring managers. We see this as a platform that people use to find talent that they otherwise wouldn't be aware of. Our team, we've gone through. I guess to talk about traction, we don't have much right now, but but we're planning on doing a handful of these hopefully before the final presentation.
But we did talk to a couple of hiring managers, and what we saw is that this is a big problem for them. They're hiring good talent, and even though they have a really hard time finding, and sometimes it's not like we said, it's not always the big things, big skills that we always. For example, a lot of people do not come from these big name institutions, so what they do know how to code, but they sometimes lack basic skills such as conversational English. So it's also these kind of skills that we're hoping to validate.
We're excited to take questions and feedback.
Well, I do have a question. I'm pretty sure you're right for the hiring manager part. Just how do you bring people to your website? And just the thing is that if it's easy to get a job as a software engineer, why would they want to go to your website or to your platform and do all the process? And so this is just like the attention point that I may have after the presentation.
Sure. It's for anyone who has a software engineering background, from they have a degree, it's easy for them. But anyone who's self-taught, it's not easy for them to prove that they have the skill. So we are, or if someone is from a school who's not that,
Why are you saying that? Like a software engineer, why is it difficult? Okay, you don't know. Did you go to Stanford? No. Okay, cool. But can you code? So you would do the same test. Like I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like regardless if you are on a school or not, right? So
yeah.
You have the skill set, right?
Yeah.
So the one who has the skill set, regardless if you have the certification from a school or not, right? You would do the same test. Does that make sense? Like when you hire,
but you want to get
a filter.
You won't even get in to take that test, is what we're saying. Is the observation we've talked to the hiring managers is at competitive firms, they're just going to take the test from people that have these big name credentials. They're not going to waste their time, even if those people end up having totally those skills, giving the test to people that
Because
don't
the
have those.
the filter that
Yeah.
current, because they say they want to have a certificate, right?
They want to have these like credentials, and yeah,
They're not against people hiring people who don't have who don't have credentials, but it's just that it saves them money. For example, they'll get they'll get less number of good candidates from those candidates who don't have degrees, but they claim they have the skill.
Or we talk to a lot of like earlier stage startups that end up defaulting to agencies. There's a lot of agencies that currently are kind of playing in this middle ground that have like vetted international engineers that are cheaper and go through the agency, but they end up paying a pretty big premium. So we think having a platform where it's again, there's a lot of online coding tests. The idea here is that you're connecting with someone that's actually putting their name on the line, that has that big day credential and is, I guess, lending their credibility to someone that has that skill but doesn't have that.
So you would basically say, as an example, right? You would basically say that you dedicate the time to vet somebody. Why? In return for what?
So I think it's one cash, like you would be paid to
Okay.
do that. And
So somebody who is senior and has all the credential would now all of a sudden you say do some side gigs.
yeah, I like we've talked to, again, these wouldn't be like, a CTO at a major tech company. This would be someone who has like 5 to 10 years experience working as a big name brand. They can get paid $400 to do like an hour coding test with someone that we're presenting has gone through a very vetted process and is from, I think there's also kind of this like ego / like philanthropic element. Like, hey, I'm,
Well, if you pay $400, it's not philanthropic. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
no.
expensive.
We're paying
Yeah.
$400 to the person to give that test, but then that person, is excited to meet someone from across,
Community building.
Yeah.
And who
Not
would pay
a community.
$400?
Us.
And we get money from the hiring managers.
Yeah, from the companies that are looking.
Okay.
Yeah, so they pay us because we're saving them time by not going through a lot of interviews.
Okay, so and why blockchain then? I mean, you can do it completely on our too. Right? I mean,
No, definitely. I think two reasons. One is it enables an ecosystem where those credentialers, those experts, can be not just get like $400 cash, but they can be rewarded and actually like ownership of this entity. I think blockchain and Web3 enables that much better than just like paying them cash. Like if they'll actually be owners, and then also putting these credentials on chain, we think is important for discrimination reasons, for a litany of other reasons that resumes aren't on chain.
Okay, so final feedback, guys. You guys have a couple of massive lags here based on the time that is left. One is I'm not the smartest, maybe not that intelligent. I didn't get your product.
Got
It took me 5-6 minutes afterwards to ask questions. So
okay.
Right. So product was not clear. I didn't see a demo. Right. So the audience needs to understand what you guys are doing in a couple of seconds. So how can you make a better job at doing, like expressing what the product is? You didn't talk about competition, like at all, like zero. Okay. So huge red flag. Why not? Right. The market is super crowded and in hiring. Like there are, Web 2, Web 1. I mean, that's the oldest maybe need that we have, right? So how are you standing out? What's your go-to-market strategy? Not even now, and the next point would be then traction, right? So what are you doing, right? So how are you going to market? How are you standing out, right? What's your monetization model, right? You said it now at the end, but you didn't mention it in the deck, right?
Yeah.
And so these are massive killers. You have a couple of weeks left,
Yeah.
right? Is there like how are you solving all these? What's
the main? Sorry, you want to go?
What do you mean solving? Just those answers? Like we have,
what
those
are
are
your
just
thoughts
adding
on-
a few pages to a deck. Those don't seem like.
No,
Is
the
your product reflecting what you're saying, or what do you guys think?
the biggest I think problem, because our slide deck was old and we didn't update it, but we have since the last 3 weeks, basically since the last time we presented, we've thought about, because of the feedback we got, we have thought about these things, and not all of the things that you gave us feedback about. Certainly, we still have a lot of things to do, but but some of it we have thought about, and it's mostly about updating our slide deck, I think.
Okay, cool.
Like the finance part, we answered it later, but it was not in the slide deck.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oops. Oh, you want to go first?
Yeah. Just make sure.
Oh, that's. Oh yeah. I didn't send him. You sent him? I didn't send him. No, I did not.
Just plug it into Tomaso's computer
Yeah,
and then
I
you
did
pull up
not
the
send you
slides.
the deck.
Oh, you didn't send
Is it in
down?
here? Oh, can you put that
Okay.
in?
Okay.
Oh,
why
me
don't we
too.
have Sesame go first and you can
Okay,
put it back
sure.
in?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Okay.
we wanna keep it here, yeah.
Team Sesame, you guys are up.
Yeah, yeah.
The other team needs a little more time.
I'm so small for the stuff, you know. Yeah. I mean, I put the website.
You want to take Clown's food? You want to take your food? Huh? Yeah, I've not eaten.
Hi everyone, so we are the Sesame team, and so we will reinvent the ticket industry. So did you know that 12% of the online event tickets are scammed in the US? It represents losses up to 30 billion. So we distinguish three main sub-problems: fraud, data loss, and disorganization. So we want to build a marketplace, Sesame, which would sell tickets as NFTs and use blockchain to secure transactions and enhance the overall customer experience. So how does it work? So we would like tickets to be more than just a right of entry. We would like it to convey an experience, to revive the memory of the users. It would also enable the user to own a portion of the community, and it would even tell a story. So beyond that solving a problem, it also enables a huge world of opportunities. Like it enables the event organizer to track the data, to engage with their customers. It also offers privilege. It generates memories, as we said. The event organizer can also gamify the events, and it also enables them to have like an additional source of revenue. So now Cecilia will talk to you about the product.
Yeah, so our product will be a website that is built with blockchain on the backend, and then we offer mainly three features. One is the multiple payment method that release the curve of people who are not currently in the crypto world to pay and then buy tickets on our platform. And second is a all-in-one wallet, so you don't have to deal with the annoyance of locating where you save your ticket. It's all saved in one place and automatically pulled out. And then third thing is like the tickets all came with some special privilege that the artists offer at different events. So this is one of the websites that we are currently having the prototype.
So there is a link of the prototype here.
Yeah, maybe we can skip that. We don't
yeah, we can do it.
Yeah. So, and then we see a momentum of developing this product. Firstly, is that some of the similar events are happening with Coachella and also Super Bowl. They're partnering with Ticketmaster for the launching NFT tickets for their games. And then we are currently sitting at the cross sections of NFTs and also tickets. We can see even if we focus only on music festival in the US, we can see a potential user base for $10 billion, 10 billion users.
So talking about the business model of the marketplace, what is the typical commission on the tickets rate, both in secondary and primary transactions. And also we would charge a fee to event organizers to promote or list their events with more above of the page. Talking about the competition, well, there are hundreds of companies in this sector. We have the event ticket marketplace, for example, Ticketmaster, that they use blockchain. where there are also social NFT marketplaces, which it's all new. For example, OpenSea or Solanar. Or we have event NFTs marketplaces, which are the ones who are coming with the blockchain to the events, but they have the particularity that they don't exploit the NFTs for the engagement part. So we want to mix all of these parts and create a social marketplace. The first step would be just creating the marketplace, and the second one would be like adding the component of the social part in order to engage more with the users. So that could be our advantage over the other ones. And then the go-to-market strategy, everything with a ticket can be achieved with this marketplace. For example, music festivals, sport games, concerts, whatever. But we are going to start here in California with music festivals, sport games, and concerts. Actually, talking about traction, we have two festivals interested for September, so we'll be ready for them when the prototype is ready. And then, acquisition channels for typical B2B. Talking about the team, we are 2 software engineers and 2 people in business and marketing. So I think we have the complete team, and we have a demo, but I don't think it's
yeah.
So that's it.
Cool. There you go.
Okay, I think I was kind of stressed, but I also think that as like most of the team here, we did not practice since like 3 weeks, so we need to work on that and make it like more fluid and try to maybe make it more dynamic and engage with the audience, I think.
Okay. What do you think? What is your part?
Yeah, so I think currently for the prototype, because we are actually building up the prototype, but we don't have the time to show it here, and also part of it because the other software engineer on our team, we haven't like communicate very fully on like the current progress of our collaboration. So I think we need to catch up on that more, and then maybe present a live demo for the prototype.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think? What was your part?
I think we have too many slides for 4 minutes, so I don't know if we could like fusion some slides in some others, because I have to speed out a lot and not speak very clearly for the audience. So I don't know, we have to focus on that.
Okay. Any other feedback? Class, any other feedback? How did it go? What did you like? What do you suggest to improve? Any thoughts?
I think you guys should slow down when you talk about it all. You're talking a little fast and it's a little difficult to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Super fast. It was too fast. Anything else? Speed is one. Anything else? Everything was awesome. Is the product clear? Product is clear. Is the problem clear? Right?
I don't know if you covered it. I might have missed it, but how are you managing the payments from people for the tickets? Like, are you doing just cryptocurrency or fiat currency too? So, like, is it a mix of both, or are you focusing on one and then you're converting it? How is it?
So at first we will start with fiat and then introduce crypto as well. But at the end we want to allow like all type of payments.
Yeah, we don't want to create barriers for the users.
Yeah.
So we're gonna habilitate the multi-payment.
Just for the MVP, we want to be very basic and with like yes, fiat, and then after the rest.
So in that scenario, since you are asking them to pay fiat money, how are you going to send them the tickets?
Because the ticket could be like a PDF, but then we will generate an NFT, and it could be like sent with an airdrop. So if you
But to whom? Like, since they are fiat currency, like I think the problem that what I'm trying to get to is you'll have a problem in trying to educate the user to create their wallet, to store their private keys, and then you get those wallet addresses, and then you send them NFTs.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that is something that you'll have to account for in your entire process.
Definitely, there's a workaround because of the software rhythm to be developed. So maybe it's a problem of 2 months. But the thing is that we're gonna habilitate the multi-payment afterwards. But between the times, we're gonna pay in fiat and then send you with your address or your Gmail account your NFT.
Okay. Real quick feedback from my side, guys. Once was already mentioned, so way too fast.
the three of you, right? And it's a sign that obviously nervous, right, and you practice, right. So, but try to control the speed. Right? That is super important. Like less is more. Like it's super fundamental, right? Because if you start out by being way too fast, you started out, right? Then I'm no longer interested to follow, right? That's a really big pitfall that when presenter have, right? You mentioned it also. There is no real demo, right? I mean, you showed something and then you skipped it, and then like to me, the experience is not clear. What's the product is not really clear. Like it didn't really come across, right? And you mentioned something which I like that you went in a direction of trying to point out what your USP is, your unique selling proposition, like what makes you different, right? And then you went into social marketplace. You mentioned this term social marketplace, which I thought is a cool term, but I want to understand why. Like, what's the evidence? You see what I'm saying? You can say, okay, what makes us different is social marketplace, and I say, okay, did you dream about it? Why? Like, who told you that? Oh, I interviewed 1,000 people, and what they were saying is that, right? So, what evidence do you have, right? Because if you don't prove this evidence, I have a big question mark. And if I have a big question mark in your differentiator, then you break your entire presentation, right? And the similar things, which is evidence-based, right? Is again, you say, in terms of traction, I have 2 festivals, which you say, cool, thumbs up. Show a picture of 2 letter of intents or something like that, right? Show something that people say, and I have the evidence here, right? Say, wow, this is cool. They're go-getters, right? So that's really cool. Okay? Cool.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 10 minutes left. Has anybody watched the video that I showed? Right? How many startups do we have? 2 more. Okay, we have 2 options. Either we use the 10 minutes just chatting all together, or we have, legitimately just one presentation because, and one. So, you want to present? Wants to present or chat?
I think more value out of chatting.
I think so too.
Huh?
Can present that.
Okay, cool. Who saw the video that I shared? I know I wasn't here last Thursday after Jason was presented, right? I had provided a video. Who saw this video?
Which one?
Oh my man. Okay, nobody saw the video. Okay, cool. I'm more relieved because okay, I needed to be super sad.
Watch it after.
Okay, so cool. Given the fact you have not watched the video, okay, guys,
let me in a couple of minutes share with you what I learned in across multiple countries and then in Silicon Valley on how to enchant audiences. Okay, there are obviously many different types on how you can kick off and what's your presentation style, right? But I like actually to recap that in 2 main styles, okay? And there is one style that most of the teams, most of the startups, they follow that style, and I don't necessarily am a big fan of it. What's that style? That you start out very technical. Did you start out at a presentation by explaining what's the market opportunity in numbers, what is the problem, what is the solution? Like that's what I call more the linear approach of you presenting a problem, a solution to the problem, an assessment of the market, total addressable market, service of market, right? Then go to market, the traction that you get. That's a very linear approach, a very technical approach. And I don't mean technical from you speak and you talk bits and bytes. What I mean with technical is you are, from a communication perspective, from an engagement perspective, not leveraging the fact that people don't like to listen to bits and bytes or technology, but people love what? This is in our DNA since
Since the beginning, you watched the video. You did.
No.
Okay. Well, right. So what is people love stories? Since we were a child, everybody has here heard a story. When we were kids, we were reading stories. We have this in our DNA because the cavemen were basically explaining and communicating in stories. So this is in our DNA. This comes very natural to the recipient, to the audience, to listen to stories. Okay. Now, the reason why many entrepreneurs don't lean into stories is because when you have a story, when you want to communicate a story, you have a totally different style on stage, which is more outgoing, right? This is John. John is 23, and John is right now on the website, and that's the problem that John has. And Abaya said, so you tell the story without going, the market is 7 billion big, and the problem, and so you tell the story, and within the story, you package the problem, you package the circumstance in which John is in, or the persona is in. You mention the age of the persona, you mention the circumstance, the event in which the persona is facing that very specific problem. So I can navigate, / the audience, the recipient sitting there, you can navigate them much easier, right? Much more fluent, much more genuinely, right? Through what it is, right? Now, most of you will say, does it make sense so far? Okay? And again, in my video, I go slide for slide. There are 12 slides that I use, okay? And I've been on stages here in Silicon Valley, you can Google that, right? When I had only 60 seconds. But what I always did, was always storytelling. Always storytelling. Because my goal always was, I need to enchant, okay? And at the center of the enchantment, I had always one goal. I need to enchant, which is the format, which is the storytelling. I don't want to basically look, like in a minute, if you go technical, the minute does not allow you to do the technical pitch, right? Because it's not really fluid. Does that make sense? Like if you go the technical, it's not really fluid. You don't get to this flow where the audience say, "Oh, I got it, check." Even if you tell a story, even if you are not the target audience, even if you don't understand the market, you understand the story. You follow a story. Does that make sense? Because the story has always a couple of common components. First, a target audience. A very clear target audience, right? You talk about one person, right, that has a certain age. And this person is in a certain situation. So you talk about the situation. So you help the brain literally picture where this person is, okay? In fact, as a matter of fact, in this video, what you guys are free to assess and watch, right? What I share there is the fact that what I always care is to create almost a movie in the audience mind and always use words that the human being can visually portray and recreate. I'll give you one example. When you're on stage and you say, "My solution is for everybody," can the mind picture the target audience, everybody? No. But if you say the target audience is female age 23 to 30, can I picture it, yes or no? So what I'm trying to do what I learned to do as an entrepreneur, and by the way, professional entrepreneur, you always need it, okay? Is to always keep the audience, the recipient, connected to a story that you actually can portray, right? And I've been doing it, I sense when the audience disconnects, when I say something, right, that the brain cannot picture, like literally picture, you do like this, right? You look up and you say, "Oh wait, what is the boom?" You lose the person, right? And if you have 2-3 moments that you lose the person, you lost the moment, right? So in this video, I explain what are the 12 slides, 11, 12, 13 slides, okay? And what's the story like? Okay. Now, what I also learned, because I've been in a position of sharing these lessons learned, the storytelling many times, that once you go through that story, once you assess that story, And once as an entrepreneur or a professional, you start asking yourself, well, wait a second, am I now going to be on stage and tell a story? Then all of a sudden you become shy. And that's an attitude. So the human being said, wait a second, I have to go on stage and kind of entertain through a story? Is this what I have to do? Like, is this what Thomas is? You don't. Well, I'm just sharing with you what I did. You can do whatever you want, right? But the entrepreneur feels more confidence in then going back to the technical story. This is the problem, this is the market, this is the solution, this is the product, this is the total addressable market. Why? Because it's more tactical, it's more linear, right? It's more black and white, and I don't have to express emotion. But on the other hand, when you are in an audience and you have somebody who tells a story, everybody, yeah, I got it, yes, right? So you have to take a decision yourself, professional life as an entrepreneur, whatever, right? Because storytelling is very relevant, right? Do you want to train and get into that, like rehearsal and get into that, right? And regardless if you're going to do your startup or if you're going to be in a professional life, you will always have a need where you have to enchant your team members, right? Because you're presenting a project, right? Or you want to have in a department a budget, right? A budget approval or an idea approval, right? And then the question is how you're going to do it, right? How are you going to literally enchant the audience, right? So feel free to, and it's a very extensive video, I think an hour and a half or 2 hours, right? Sorry for that, guys, but it was on a Google Launchpad acceleration program that I taught, right? And so I broke down the nuances of it, okay? So for those who think that this might be of value, meaning for those who think that in preparation of the 28th, 29th, right, which will be the official presentation, and then we will be having one winner. And after the winner will be presenting at the Collider Cup. If you think that this might be of value, what I'm just sharing with you, feel free to assess it. And I'm actually generally looking forward to see a couple of storytelling next times, simply because I believe that we have here a couple of great projects that might make it into the Collider Cup and maybe win the Collider Cup. Who knows? Okay. Any questions? Any thoughts? I know we are on time. Yes, please.
Is it working? Obviously, it's working with an audience because you're captivating the people. Is it also, I was wondering, is it working also in a more formal meetings with investors, or should we stick to the regular?
I'm sensing fear. I'm sensing fear, right? It's about who are you as a person, right? I say, well, Tommaso, I'm more the technical. I want to, the tendency of the human being is always hiding into, this is the problem, this is, right? That's the tendency, right? And again, this is just, I'm sharing with you not what you have to do. I share with you what I did, okay? To me, this came natural, okay? To me, this came natural. And I put myself in a situation of saying, I want to be different, because I knew that 9 people would have more this tactical, more linear approach, right? I said, I want to stand out to a point, to respond to your question, where maybe I might be, for some of those, ridiculous to say this is that, and he's always, very outgoing. I was like, okay, cool, But I have seen that all the, and this became almost a job for me. I mean, when I keynote a lot, like I keynote in front of 20,000 people, right? I love stage, okay? So, and people pay a lot of money to see me on stage keynote, like a lot of money to pay me on stage. So it became almost a side business. What? Entrepreneurship? Well, actually, the way of expressing yourself in front of an audience, right? And especially conveying always innovation to others. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Does it work for marketplace where you have 2 personas? And so how can you do it if you have
you go through a story where you basically picture 2 personas. Okay. Yeah, on one hand you have John, on the other hand you have Mary, right? And then you picture the circumstance, right? I think the key to a storytelling is really define a persona, right? Because then the human being knows exactly for whom it's for, right? The persona is in a circumstance. Circumstance is defined by an event, even date and time, right? Depending on what technology you have, right? Where is exactly the person? In what circumstances the person, right? What is the problem that the person is facing, right? And when you talk about a problem,
just 1 second. When you talk about the problem, one of the most relevant things when you define a problem is try to convey how often and how big the problem is. Because if you just define, I could give you one example. You can say, governments need to update their internal system with new conditions. And that's a massive manual problem. Okay, Tommaso spoke about, is this a problem? Like, did I describe a problem? Yes. But is this problem worth solving? Because we don't know how frequent it is, right? So if I have to do just one update a year, do I need to build a technology against it? No, right? So you want to convey when you talk about a problem, how frequent the problem is, right? And you want to basically provide this, give a sense of this problem has a certain frequency, right? And the reason why frequency is important, why is frequency important in our problem? You always get me a traction. Yeah, traction. 5 points. This time it's not traction. Yeah. All right, turn, stickiness, anything else? Okay.
Yeah, to manage to answer the problem.
What is the biggest challenge that we have when we would like to bring innovation to market? Traction. Well, who said it? Okay. Huh?
Make people adopt a new ID.
Behavior change. And you can only change the behavior of the human being if the problem is frequent enough. Does it make sense? Like if it happens only once a year, and I'm facing this problem only once a year, and I bring innovation that I need to only run once a year, I don't change my behavior. But in order to change the behavior, the frequency must be very high. You had a question, right?
Yeah, I had a question. When you mentioned the storytelling and talking about, like the journey of someone, easy person can be an imaginary character, because like until now, I always thought that when you say storytelling, you have to talk about yourself, right? A feeling that you had that someone else can feel.
Okay, so fantastic question. You will be seeing this in I differentiate between two types of persons, you or somebody else. Now, you cannot force yourself into a situation if you have never been there, right? Because that's a problem. So if you are not the person, I'll give you one concrete example. Very, very, very extreme example, but it makes us very. So if I would have, if the entrepreneur has is solving a problem for cancer, okay? Now the person is on stage. Now you understand why I'm not saying it about myself, right? So this entrepreneur is on stage and the person says, there is John who has a sibling who has cancer. That's one version of it, right? Or the entrepreneur said, hey, my sibling died of cancer. You see the difference? Like you are one step detached. And as an investor, what definitely is way more compelling if you yourself are the one who lives through the problem. And there is one specific reason why, psychologically. Why is this so relevant that you, by the way, whomever wants to go, I don't want to hold anybody back, right? So please feel free to say what? Oh, you do have a few announcements. Okay, so let me finish then. For the investor, it is super relevant. It would be way better if the entrepreneur has lived through the problem, because startups, it's a lot of downs and downs. Thank you. Downs and downs, and if you are lucky, you get a couple of ups, right? And if you want to live through those challenging times, hard times with the team, with you mentally, right? You really need to be connected with the problem. Like I would like to talk with an entrepreneur and say, this is such a big problem. I'm so pissed off about I didn't want to say pissed off about the problem, right? Like I'm so upset about the problem and I would like to solve it, And I say, well, okay, so this person will stand through rough times. Okay, Cool. Announcements?
Yeah, so we are coming up on our final weeks of class, so it is definitely very exciting. But we have, for next week, we're going to be splitting the pitches across both Tuesday and Thursday. So I've just released the assigned list that I used a random number generator for. So just updated it. I saw the message. Apollo is not included, so make sure to put you guys in. But yeah, that is coming up right around the corner. And then we're going to have a couple more classes after that, 3 more. And then is our final pitch on April 28th in Sibley Auditorium. And we might have a little surprise right after, so stay tuned for that. We are still confirming the details, but it will be exciting to treat you guys. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Make sure that you're being, on top of your work and building your startups. Along with the pitches, we will also be having this peer-to-peer feedback form. So when each team is presenting, all the other students should be writing down feedback and giving feedback during the pitches. So you must submit at least 6 out of 9 teams worth of feedback during the other pitches. So you can be like taking notes and then give out feedback. And I've included all the details in the Slack post as well as the video tonight. So look at all the announcements on Slack, and yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
That's the.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey.
Be honest feedback. I think we needed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.